Fruits best to avoid after 60, and why it's important. Target audience: seniors 60 and older. Purpose: to explain which fruits can be harmful in old age, why this is the case, and what alternatives are safe and healthy. Scope: over 20,000 characters for a 15 to 20-minute video. Introduction: as we age, we are increasingly told eating more fruit is good for you. But is this really true? Not all fruits are equally beneficial, especially if you are over 60. Some can trigger blood sugar spikes, cause digestive problems, or even interact with your medications. Today, we'll tell you which fruits you should eat with caution or eliminate altogether, and what you can replace them with. This is not a ban, but a health concern. In simple words, clear recommendations, and with love for your longevity. 1. Grapes. Small berries with a big dose of sugar, 0.101 to 0.400. Grapes are one of the most popular fruits among seniors. It's convenient, requires no peeling, is sweet and tasty. But that's exactly what makes it dangerous. In 100 grams of grapes contains about 17 to 20 grams of sugar, and this is quickly digestible fructose. What does this mean for an elderly body? If you suffer from type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance, grapes can spike blood sugar levels, overloading the pancreas. In addition, high amounts of sugar accelerate inflammation in the body, increase the risk of atherosclerosis, and impair vascular function. Also, grapes can cause flatulence and heaviness in the stomach in people with slow digestion. Nutritionist Dr. Larisa Grigorieva says, grapes are not a snack, it is a dessert. It is best to eat it in limited quantities after the main meal. How to consume: no more than 10 to 12 berries in one sitting. Not on an empty stomach. No more than 2 to 3 times a week. Do not eat grapes in combination with white bread, cakes, milk. Alternative: fresh berries, blueberries, cranberries, currants, which are rich in antioxidants and contain less sugar. 2. Bananas, energy peak, and fall. Bananas are the perfect snack? Not for the elderly. One ripe banana contains about 25 grams of carbohydrates, 14 to 16 of which are pure sugar. As we age, our bodies are worse able to cope with sudden spikes in glucose. A banana causes a quick burst of energy, followed by an equally quick drop. This can cause headaches, irritability, and feelings of fatigue. In people with diabetes or hypertension, bananas may impair control of the condition. Also, bananas contain a lot of potassium. This is usually a plus, but when taking certain medications, such as diuretics or blood pressure medications, it can upset electrolyte balance and cause cramping or weakness. Doctors comment, if you're taking medications like spironolactone or enalapril, excess potassium can be dangerous. Bananas should be eaten wisely, warns GP Irina Timofeeva. Bananas are also characterized by a high glycemic index, especially if they are very ripe, with dark spots on the peel. Such fruits literally explode the level of sugar in the blood. After 60 years of age, this can cause memory impairment, chronic fatigue, inflammation of blood vessels. How to consume: half a banana in the morning is a safe maximum. Choose bananas of medium maturity, without dark spots. Avoid banana smoothies with honey, milk, or fruit juice. A good alternative is to slice banana slices into porridge with bran and nuts. This slows the absorption of sugar. Alternatives: pears, green apples, avocados. If you want a sweet taste, it is better to eat 3 to 5 apricots with nuts. And that only after the main meal. 3. Citrus fruits. Vitamin C with a side effect. Oranges, tangerines, grapefruit. These bright and juicy fruits are strongly associated with a healthy diet. They contain vitamin C, flavonoids, potassium, and fiber. However, despite the obvious benefits, citrus fruits can pose a real danger to people over the age of 60. Firstly, we are talking about high acidity. In old age, many people experience gastritis, increased acidity of gastric juice, reflux, and even peptic ulcer disease. Eating sour fruits, especially on an empty stomach, can cause heartburn, stomach pain, bloating, and with frequent use, exacerbation of chronic gastrointestinal diseases. Secondly, one of the most insidious representatives is grapefruit. It contains substances that block the enzyme CYP3A4 in the liver. This enzyme is responsible for the breakdown and elimination of many drugs from the body. When its work is suppressed, the level of the drug in the blood can rise 3 to 5 times, which leads to an overdose even if you take the usual dose, which medications are especially dangerous when combined with grapefruit. Blood pressure medications, beta blockers, calcium channel blockers, statins for lowering cholesterol, antidepressants, immunosuppressants, and hormonal drugs. Cardiologists comment, "I've had patients who had side effects from medications just because they regularly drank grapefruit juice. We canceled the juice, and the side effects disappeared." In addition, excessive consumption of oranges and tangerines, especially sweet varieties, can increase blood sugar levels. This is relevant for people with impaired glucose tolerance, type 2 diabetes, and obesity. How to consume citrus fruit safely. Not on an empty stomach, but only after eating. 1 orange or 2 to 3 tangerines per day is the maximum. Grapefruit should be excluded if you are taking at least one of the medications listed above. Citrus juice, no more than 100 milliliters diluted with water. Alternative, kiwi, sea buckthorn, rosehip, bell pepper. They all contain a lot of vitamin C, but they do not block liver enzymes and are less likely to cause heartburn. 4. Watermelon is a summer menace with a high glycemic index. Watermelon is a symbol of summer, cooling, and pleasure. However, in old age, this fruit requires special attention. At first glance, it seems that there are almost no calories and a lot of water in it, but that's what makes him treacherous. About 90% of the weight of a watermelon is water. The rest is simple sugars. 100 grams of watermelon contains about 8 grams of sugar, but a standard serving, 300 to 400 grams, is already 25 to 30 grams of sugar, which is equivalent to 6 teaspoons. Why is it dangerous after 60? Very high glycemic index, GI. It can reach 75 to 80, which means an instant release of sugar into the blood. No fiber. Unlike apples or pears, watermelon has almost no dietary fiber, which slows down glucose absorption. Pancreatic overload, especially if the watermelon is eaten on an empty stomach. Diuretic effect may cause dehydration, especially in people who take diuretics. Load on the kidneys with pre-existing renal dysfunction. A story from practice. An elderly patient with hypertension and type 2 diabetes ate watermelon daily in the heat. A week later, a sharp spike in sugar, loss of strength, and problems with blood pressure. All this required medical correction. The reason is an excess of watermelon eaten instead of a full meal. Nutritionists comment, watermelon is not a food, but a liquid dessert. It's better to eat it as a treat rather than as a main meal. How to consume safely. Only in the morning, no more than 1 to 2 times a week. Serving, no more than 150 to 200 grams. Do not eat watermelon immediately after bedtime or in the evening. Do not combine it with flour, meat, or other fruits. Alternative, a small amount of melon, kiwi, berries, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, especially in combination with yogurt or cottage cheese, to slow down the absorption of sugar. 5. Pineapple is exotic with acid and sugar. Pineapple is loved for its bright taste, aroma, and conviviality. But for an elderly body, it carries a double blow: high acidity and high sugar levels. It stimulates the production of gastric juice and can cause exacerbations of gastritis, peptic ulcer, and reflux. In addition, pineapple can enhance the effect of certain medications, such as anticoagulants, blood thinners, which increases the risk of bleeding. This is due to the bromelain enzyme found in pineapple. Component placement comparison with other fruits. Pineapple contains about 16 grams of sugar per 100 grams, almost like grapes. At the same time, it is more acidic than an apple or a pear. Swing. Additional side effects: increased heartburn, allergic reactions in sensitive people, laxative effect. The endocrinologist's advice: if you are taking medications for blood pressure, it is better to exclude pineapple altogether or use it no more than once a week. How to use: a maximum of 2 to 3 pieces up to 50 grams and only after eating, not on an empty stomach. Alternative: peaches, apricots, and pears in moderation. What can I eat instead? Not all fruits are harmful. On the contrary, many are very useful, especially if you combine them correctly. Here is a list of fruits that are safe and even healthy. After 60, apples, especially green ones, contain cholesterol, lowering pectin. Berries, blueberries, cranberries, raspberries, are antioxidants that strengthen blood vessels and improve memory. Kiwi, low in sugar, high in vitamin C. Pears with peel, mild diuretic effect. Fiber, avocado is sugar-free and supports heart function. The rule is simple: less sugar, more fiber, and vitamins. Eat fruits not separately, but as part of a balanced meal. This way, they are better absorbed and do not harm. Conclusion and call to action. Now you know which fruits can imperceptibly harm your health and how to replace them with safe alternatives. Remember, age is not a sentence but a reason to take care of yourself more carefully. Not everything useful is equally useful, but with the right approach, you can eat delicious, varied, and risk-free meals. Leave a comment. What fruits do you eat most often? Have you learned anything new today? Zrenya, support our channel. Like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. This will help us create more useful and understandable content for the elderly. See you soon, and be healthy every day.